everybody, Tony D with a hot take. This one, Hollywood hot take. This one's on John Cusack and Antifa. John Cusack, I always thought, was a guy after my own heart in terms of fighting, the war machine, military-industrial complex, and, he spoke out against Bush back in the day. And he was, I wouldn't say he was consistent, but he did speak out against Obama and some of his war crimes. But he's kind of been overtaken by TDS. And he has moved further left, I believe. If you look at his Twitter, I'm not going to go through it now. It's kind of sad and depressing to me. But it's clear he is gone off the deep end in terms of Trump. He has, in my view, no perspective of what's going on. He seems fairly supportive of the rioting in Portland. He was proclaiming that Trump is gassing mothers in Portland, which just isn't true. It's just not true, John. You look at the rioters. They're setting fire to a federal courthouse. They are doing all sorts of horrible, nasty things to goad these federal officers into attacking. And then the moment they do anything, they're like, "Oh, help, help! I'm being oppressed! I'm being oppressed!" And look, if you drill down even a little bit into Antifa's tactics, that's exactly what they do. They're trying to goad federal officers into an over-response. This is not conspiracy theory. This is what they do. They want to get an over-response. They want people to get hurt, and then they can turn around and say, see what a bunch of fascists our government is. It's just not true. Trump was elected, he won, and I don't know who you voted for in 2016, but, the choice of the Democrats was a warmonger. And if you look at Biden, I mean, he's pretty much a warmonger. Trump has at least tried to get us out of Afghanistan, Syria, some of these other places. It's gotten so bad that the Democrats have actually fought him in Congress to keep the troops where they are in Afghanistan. I mean, he's trying like hell to get them out before the election. Now, yeah, is that a stunt to get reelected? Oh, absolutely. But at least he's trying to get them out, John. I didn't see Barack Obama make a really good faith attempt to do that. I really didn't. I didn't see Barack Obama make a good faith attempt at closing Guantanamo. I really didn't. He seemed to fold the moment he got any resistance on that. Trump doesn't fold. Say what you want about him, but he doesn't fold. And look, I get it. You're very upset about the border wall and immigrants and blah, blah, blah. Truth of the matter is, immigrants, well, there's a lot of immigrants in this country already, and they integrate well here. But we have to have a means to count them. And classically, when immigrants came to this country, there was a merit-based system to let them in. When my ancestors came to this country, there was a system. Certain people got in, sick people didn't get in, people who were too old and infirm didn't get in, criminals that were identified didn't get in. Why shouldn't we do that with all immigrants? Other countries do it. Mexico does it, John. So, the fact that Trump has done his darndest to build the wall and get the Mexican government on board with keeping people there, the fact that he's gotten the Guatemalan government to take in refugees from other countries, I don't see any problem with that. I don't see it as anything fascist. I don't see a problem with saying, hey, we can't take everybody, because we can't. Even Bernie Sanders admitted that. We can't take everyone. So we should just take a limited amount of people. Now, you also have to be careful. You can't just take the best and the brightest either. It creates a brain drain in these other countries. I wouldn't want to take all their doctors and nuclear scientists. I worked at a place in New Jersey where we had a guy apply for an IT position, and he had actually been a nuclear scientist in like Belarus or somewhere. He was insanely overqualified for the job. But, you know, you are, the stuff on your Twitter feed, man, you're a millionaire movie star. What are you doing? Make a movie, dude. If you have a vision and you have a message, make a movie. You and Rob Reiner spend all day on Twitter crying about Trump. Make a damn movie. And tell us your vision. Tell us why everything's all effed up. Do the research. Do a documentary if you must. Or do a narrative that makes sense. I think the truth is you can't. Because you can't sell that kind of extreme leftist nonsense to the average American. They wouldn't get it because it's not reality. Federal agents protected federal property. They weren't secret police. That was media hype. They all had badges. They all had name tags. They all had numbers. And they all had police written on them. They were THS, John. Look into it. Stop taking media at its face value. The New York Times is so far left, the whole media runs, the whole paper runs left now. The whole paper. Did you not see Barry Weiss's article about her leaving? This is not a person who was in love with Trump. She is anti-Trump. And yet, she had to admit the atmosphere at the New York Times is just poisonous. It's just poisonous, John. And that poison is poisoning your mind because you're accepting their reality as fact. And you're running around Portland taking videos of these LARPers. And that's what they are, John. They're LARPers. Because those federal agents could come out and clear the streets in a night if they wanted to. They're not using live ammo. Have people been hurt? Oh, yeah. But in Minneapolis, and was just revealed a day or two ago, one of the pawn shops they burned down, they found a body. A man or woman burned alive. How's that peaceful protest now? According to Wikipedia, and this was something Sargon of Akkad pointed out, 28 people have died since the George Floyd riots began. Add that, 29. And that is a direct result of somebody burning down the pawn shop. And they already got that guy for arson. Well, now they're going to add murder to the charges. Is this still a peaceful protest, John? Is this still fun for you when people die? These protesters in Portland are going to go too far, and they're going to kill somebody. And you will have egged them on. You and Rob and everybody else. And you're not going to be able to blame Trump for that murder. It's going to be on you and the people in Antifa who wanted it to happen. Trump has a lot of things. I live in South Jersey, John. I've been seeing Trump since the 80s. I know what a blowhard he is. But you have blown this so far out of proportion. I am forced to defend Trump every single day on my YouTube channel because idiots like you have gone so far left you can't even see the Overton window anymore. These riots are not the answer. Martin Luther King knew that, and he marched peacefully through Selma in a suit. That's what these rioters could have done. And they would have been effective doing it. And just so you remember, everybody was on board with police reform after George Floyd died. Everyone. It got a lot of national attention, and people were outraged by it. Now, George Floyd is so far in the distance, no one even remembers what these riots were about. Now people are afraid. Now people are divided. Now people are buying guns. How many of your liberal buddies in Hollywood have bought guns over this? And how happy will you be when they come to one of your neighborhoods and smash up one of your mansions? You're not going to be too happy. This has got to stop. This violence has got to stop. You protested the war, John. You protested violence and the dropping of bombs. But now here you are, supporting violence. And yes, it's not dropping bombs, but it's still violence. It's still wrong. People are still getting hurt. You have to protest all the violence, John, or protests don't mean anything from you. Violence is wrong. Stop what you're doing. Stop supporting Antifa. There are no moms being gassed. There are only Antifa actors trying to goad federal authorities into hitting them. They spray painted Moms for Dead Cops on the side of a wall in Portland, John. That was the night the moms came out. Hilarious, right? Is that what you really support? Do you support the abandonment of a federal courthouse in Portland? Those rioters will burn it to the ground. And where will Portland prosecute its federal cases then? Well, I guess they'll have to ship every single prisoner to another federal courthouse outside the city. Does that make it better for the people who are accused of a crime to be taken outside their jurisdiction, to be prosecuted and face a jury of total strangers from a completely different region of the country? You're not thinking, John. You used to think. And instead, you're caught up in this TDS nonsense. I'm very disappointed in you, John. You used to be smart. You used to go against the grain. You're not going against the grain anymore. You're going with the billionaire classes who have supported this from the beginning. The Googles and Facebooks, the Bidens and his backers. The billionaires, John. And they're warmongers. Way more warmongering than Trump is. Way more. By several epic scales. Trump is trying to get people out. Imagine peace with Russia. Imagine U.S. out of the Middle East. That could have happened if the Democrats had wanted it. If they had worked with Trump and just taken a little bit of his angry bluster and not taken it to heart. What are you doing?